Hi guys. So it's been a while since I've done an update, but the reason why I'm doing an update today is because on the 29th I had my pet. Ta-da! Now I did express some concern about going and some insecurities. While my insecurities were warranted, not for the fact that I expressed in my previous video. I thought I was going to be worried because someone else would be touching my fat and my flub. But surprisingly, that didn't bother me so much because I was able to grab it to myself and pull it out of the way and nobody had to touch it. So that was not my issue. My issue was, now let me preface before, is that I have had a PAP in the past and it did not hurt, it did not bleed, it was uncomfortable. And not only is it uncomfortable because someone's staring at your junk, looking, like it's like a little goodie bag what's inside, but, and there's stuff in there that should be in there, of course, that's uncomfortable, but, it didn't hurt. This time, it hurt, and I don't know, honestly, if it was because, I was heavy and therefore made things more difficult, or if I just got someone that was inexperienced in doing the exam. And they didn't have the proper tools. Apparently, I needed something a little bit narrow and longer, and they just kept putting things in that didn't fit, and it was pinching, and she would do stuff like would have the speculum in, and she would be like, okay, now that it's in and it's pinching, scoot down. And I was like, are you crazy? Get the thing out and then I'll scoot down, So, I had some bleeding afterwards because she cut, and it was not pleasant. After that whole deal that took way too long to be sitting there or laying there with someone between your legs looking at goodies, she says, oh, your vaginal lining is thick. That could be a sign of cancer. So she pulls the junk out, and she has me sit up, and she says, I'll be right back. I need to talk to the doctor, because she was a nurse practitioner. So she leaves me sitting there in this paper gown that doesn't cover my ass at all. And I'm thinking, great, I'm fat, I have cancer, and I will soon be hairless because of the chemo. And I'm sitting there by myself. I'm cold. I'm really scared. And she comes in and she's, oh, we're just going to give you hormones so your Aunt Flo will be a regular visitor. Well, she hasn't showed up for a while, so can't say that I blame her for giving me hormones. But could she not have told me that this is a sign of cancer? And so she's like, so we're going to wait for your pap to see if it comes back abnormal. And I was like, so do I need to do anything after that? Do I need to call you if I start a period after the hormones? Do I need to come in and have another exam? Which by now I'm like, I don't know if I would be able to come in and experience that. And she's like, oh, no. If your pap's fine, then you're fine. And so I'm kind of in shock, like I kind of want to cry because it was extremely humiliating and very painful for me. And so she just kind of like leaves, and so I get dressed and I just walk out, and I'm like sitting there waiting for my friend to come pick me up because he kind of went with me and sat in the car, went off somewhere, did something, I don't know exactly what, and I like seriously just want to cry. I just want to just relieve the stress, but I can't. Like I physically can't cry. Like I could not make myself cry. So I sat there just feeling all icky and stuff, and I'm so glad it's over. I hope my PAP comes back, because if my PAP is normal, then I can tell my doctor that I've already been through the first orientation, my blood work's done, my PAP's done, so I'm waiting for her referral and then the invitation to Richmond. So that's where I am. And oh yeah, and as far as weight, if anyone's curious, is I haven't gone down since I went down 2 pounds when I went in for an orientation or an appointment that would tell me my resting metabolism rate, and that I was at 225 when so that was 2 pounds less than when I went in and spoke to my doctor originally. And the scale that they gave me, which I can't tell if I've lost weight or anything, but I haven't noticed a change in my clothes, so I'm going to say I haven't felt like I've lost weight. But the scale that they put me on obviously only went to 360. Now they have my charts there. They have my weigh-in goal at 425. So my question is why would they make me step on the scale if they know their scale only goes to 360, not once, not twice, but 3 times for it to zero out? How humiliating with everyone standing there. And I was like, don't you guys read your patient's info? I mean, and then they take my blood pressure, so I was nervous going in anyway. And so she takes my blood pressure. She's like, oh, your blood pressure is kind of high. And I was like, well, I've had normal blood pressure for the last few months, and, it runs a little bit on the high end of normal. So, sorry, someone texted me. Yes, Javar, she can come over. Anyways, I know it runs higher than normal. I woke up with a headache, which will make your blood pressure high. And I'm also really, really nervous. And she's like, okay. And she's like, well, you need to calm down. I'll wait a minute. And then, and then we'll take your blood pressure. So she takes my blood pressure and it drops by like 20 points. So, I mean, it's still high, but it's significantly lower. And she's like, oh, I don't know, your blood pressure's still high. And I'm like, you write it down, right? And so she had to ask someone what to do. And they're like, just write down her new stats, It's typical for people to have high blood pressure when they come in here. Because, everybody likes their junk dug around in. So, of course, our blood pressure is going to be in the normal range. So, anyways, with that's said and done. It's over. I'm glad. I hope that I have a normal pap smear. And I hope that I don't have to come back. So, cross your fingers. I should know in the next couple of days how the results of my pap. And so I'm going to move on to the next thing because I only have like 4 more minutes and I know I'm rambling. I had something that I want to share just because it was freaking entertaining, okay? Now, I know that I'm not butt ugly, but in most people's mind, I'm not what's considered beautiful or attractive because of my weight. So, therefore, I do not get very much positive male attention. And the positive male attention I do get is questionable. And I don't mean questionable as like, oh, do they like you? No, they definitely say they like me. But it's usually like, I gotta get me a piece of that. Like I'm like a piece of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Here, let me rip a wing off and you can take it away in Tupperware, something like that. So I dropped my friend off. And she works at Arden. And I'm driving up Arden towards Watt. And I'm going home. And I stop at a stoplight, and this guy says, hey, you. And at first, I'm not sure he's talking to me, and he yells again. So I turn, and I look at him, and I'm thinking, okay, did I cut him off? Did I get too close to his lane? Sometimes, I'm not a bad driver, but, sometimes stuff like that happens or something. So I look over, and he's all, hey, beautiful, what's your name? And I was like, my name's Nikki. And I didn't know how to respond. I was just like, okay. And so I drive off, and he pulls up to another stoplight, and he's trying to have a conversation with me. And at this point, after 2 more stoplights, I'm thinking, okay, I don't want him following me home. Because at this point, I don't know if it's a coincidence, like we're going the same way. So he asked me, he's like, oh, where are you heading off to? And I was like, oh, to GameStop. So I drive up to GameStop. I half run a red light to get away from this guy. He's still following me. I pull into the GameStop, and I'm thinking, at least I picked a store, something busy, so he can't really do anything if I'm in a store. I get out of my car, I walk into the store, and I start to browse, okay? He comes in, and I see him come in out of the corner of my eye, and I just slowly start walking away because I don't want to draw attention, like I'm running away from him, or I don't want to, draw his attention at all. So, okay, let me put it this way. I guess I can't help but draw attention with green hair, and I'm aware of that. But I don't want to draw any more attention. Perhaps there's someone else my size with green hair in the store. So I slowly start moving away, and he's like, I was the guy talking to you in the car. And I was like, oh, hi. He's like, I just want to say, I really like what I see. And I was like, thank you? And he's like, I'm new in this country. Oh, wow, you sound pretty Californian to me at this point, but, He was like, I would like to have your number and take you out to dinner. And I was like, well, okay. And I'm thinking, I've never been chased down for my number or for a dinner date. I've never honestly been asked on a dinner date. I mean, I dated, but kind of not along those means. It's usually like the internet where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fat. And they're like, oh, I'm sure you can't be that fat. You sound great. And you're like, oh, I'm wonderful. I can fit through a doorway, so I must not be that fat. And then, of course, you meet them, and they get disappointed, or they think they can talk to you a certain way, or whatever. So, to make a long story short, that was my experience. Oh, what can I say? So I'm going to cut this short and say bye now. Bye, everybody. I hope to hear from you guys soon.